Jack Weatherford, Genghis Khan, and the Making of the Modern World. In the book, Genghis Khan and the Making of the Modern World, Jack Weatherford takes readers beyond the myths surrounding the infamous warrior and ruler Genghis Khan. Born Temujin, Genghis Khan overcame a brutal upbringing, surviving violence, kidnapping, and enslavement within nomadic tribes. Through his self-taught strategies, courage, and determination, he eventually united numerous tribes to create the Great Mongol nation. With this book, discover the lesser-known side of Genghis Khan, an adaptive leader who promoted unity through merit rather than nepotism, encouraged intellectual pursuits, established pioneering laws, and instituted the first international postal and trading systems. This book will challenge your perception of Genghis Khan and the Mongol Empire, revealing their transformative impact on modern civilization.
Genghis Khan's unlikely path. Genghis Khan's life was far from privileged. Born in the dangerous Eurasian steppe, Temujin, as he was originally named, faced violence, kidnapping, and enslavement. Steered by sheer determination and fortitude, he survived the hardships of his early years and rose to become the leader of the largest contiguous empire in history. Imagine this: the man who would become Genghis Khan, ruler of the largest contiguous empire in the world, wasn't born into power or wealth. Instead, he had a difficult and tumultuous childhood that was anything but destined for greatness. The nomadic tribes of the Eurasian steppe between modern-day Mongolia and Siberia lived in a harsh environment where violence was the norm, and tribal feuds were frequent. Born in 1162, Temujin, later known as Genghis Khan, was part of a nomadic culture where people formed tribes and clans based on kinship ties. Each clan was led by a Khan or chief, and survival was an everyday struggle for supremacy. But how did this young boy rise from such adversity to become a legend? Temujin's life began with stories of violence and subterfuge. His father, Yasugei, kidnapped his mother, Holun, shortly after her marriage to Chiladu, a warrior from another tribe. In a time when respectable men would send gifts to their intended bride's parents for years, Yasugei was too poor to do so, resorting instead to abduction. The hardship didn't stop there. Following the death of Yasugei, Temujin, his mother, and siblings were cast out by their own tribe to die on the cold, unforgiving steppes. It was only through sheer determination and willpower that they managed to survive this harrowing ordeal. He never received formal education or even the simplest amenities. Instead, he thrived in a brutal environment by relying on his instincts and resourcefulness. This rugged upbringing forged Temujin's ruthless nature, which is perhaps best exemplified by the fact that he killed his older half-brother in childhood to assume control of their family. However, this wasn't his last encounter with the harsh realities of tribal life. Young Temujin found himself in even more peril when he was captured and enslaved by the Tayikid, a rival tribe. Yet, even in his darkest hour, he refused to give in to despair. In a daring escape, he managed to find a horse and ride his way to freedom, leaving his captors behind. Imagine the will and courage it took for Temujin to survive and thrive amidst such a tumultuous upbringing. It is precisely these qualities that fueled his meteoric rise, transforming him into the world-renowned Genghis Khan, the fearless conqueror, innovator, and empire builder. Ironically, the difficulties that once threatened to extinguish his life became the very flames that ignited his passion for conquest, driving him to unimaginable success. In a world where violence was a way of life, Genghis Khan carved his own extraordinary path, one that would reshape the course of human history forever. Genghis Khan, a misunderstood genius. Surmounting the tribal politics of the nomads, Genghis Khan emerged as a strategic leader with an open-minded approach to ruling. By renaming himself Genghis Khan, meaning unshakable or fearless, he established the great Mongol nation that spanned across a territory as vast as modern Western Europe. Rejecting traditions like tribal titles, Genghis Khan opted for meritocracy and adopted innovative methods of governance and warfare. However, historical racism has clouded his legacy, as his accomplishments are often overshadowed and crimes exaggerated. At the dawn of the 13th century, a young man named Temujin united disparate nomadic tribes to create an empire unparalleled in history. As Genghis Khan, his enlightened leadership and strategic prowess led to a conquest that stretched across an area equivalent to contemporary Western Europe. Eschewing traditional tribal titles like Gur Khan or Tayang Khan, Genghis Khan embraced the ideals of meritocracy and competence in his governance. His astute people skills, combined with a keen understanding of cutting-edge technology, facilitated 4 decades of relentless warfare and expansion. Unlike many rulers of his time, Genghis Khan demonstrated an uncanny ability to adapt swiftly and modify his strategies to suit various situations. He welcomed defeated enemy leaders into his fold instead of executing them, effectively blending their strengths into his regime. Additionally, he trained an efficient army of cavalrymen, expert horseback archers who excelled in the art of feigned retreat, a tactic that contributed to their military dominance. Despite Genghis Khan's numerous accomplishments, history has unjustly portrayed him as an archetypical barbarian. Racial bias, primarily from the 19th-century Western world, tainted his image, as investigators sought to prove the alleged inferiority of Asian people by terming them Mongoloid and labeling them as primitive and intellectually deficient. It is high time we revise our perception of Genghis Khan, to give credit to a remarkable innovator and a fearless leader who shattered conventions and forged a legacy that still resonates in the annals of history. Genghis Khan's astounding empire. Genghis Khan's reach was truly astounding, amassing an empire unmatched in size and scale. Within only 25 years, the Mongol army conquered more territory and people than the Romans had done in 400 years. Genghis Khan's lands would cover 30 modern countries, stretching from the Mediterranean to the Pacific. Dwarfing all historical comparison, the empire encompassed upwards of 11 to 12 million square miles, equivalent to the entire African continent or the United States, Canada, Mexico, Central America, and the Caribbean combined. Despite its massive scale, it was controlled by a relatively small Mongol army of around 100,000 warriors. Beyond brute force, Genghis Khan also introduced new laws that maintained peace and order among the diverse tribes that made up his vast domains. Genghis Khan's humane rule. Despite Genghis Khan's reputation as a brutal conqueror, he practiced a surprisingly humane set of laws within his empire, aiming for unity and peace. The Great Law, his main legal code, underwent continuous development during his rule. Khan allowed the preservation of local traditions that didn't conflict with the Great Law and focused on eliminating tension between people. Beneath the violence of his conquests, Khan also implemented measures to strengthen communication and prevent crime, revealing a more just ruler than commonly perceived. Genghis Khan, often remembered as a ruthless warlord, espoused a surprisingly humane approach when it came to governing his empire. The Great Law, consisting of several codes that were developed and revised during Khan's lifetime, formed the backbone of his rule. Not solely relying on older traditions, Khan adopted practices that ensured smooth functioning and prioritized unity and peace among his subjects. Intriguingly, Khan respected local customs as long as they didn't contradict the Great Law. He sought to remove tensions between people, maintaining harmony within the empire. Even with regulations like outlawing adultery, exceptions were allowed if they didn't cause conflict. The quest for stability extended to other aspects of governance. Theft of animals, significant in a nomadic empire, was considered a capital offense, and it became mandatory to restore lost animals to their owners, demonstrating care for property rights and ethical behavior. A crucial component of the thriving empire, the communication infrastructure was designed to foster unity. Arrow messengers, fast riders entrusted with disseminating important information, linked stations situated 20 miles apart, covering vast territories. This network allowed for swift communication, connecting parts of Khan's growing empire. With a sophisticated legal system and well-considered emphasis on unity and stability, Khan's rule diverges from his brutal image. Despite his bloodshed during conquests, as a ruler, Khan built a more harmonious and just society than commonly perceived. Genghis Khan's progressive reign. Genghis Khan, known for his brutal conquests, surprisingly advocated for progressive ideals throughout his empire. He protected his subjects' human rights, including women's rights, and promoted religious freedom due to the diverse faiths present in his empire. Despite being a shamanist, Khan knew religious conflicts could cause turmoil. He outlawed the enslavement of Mongols, understanding the harmful consequences from personal experience. Laws against the trafficking of women were implemented, as his own mother and wife had been kidnapped. The Mongols also valued intellectual and scholarly pursuits, even though Genghis Khan was illiterate. His grandson, Kublai Khan, continued this tradition by founding a Mongolian language school and a university. He commissioned scholars to maintain records, edit texts, and manage archives. Kublai Khan also fostered the arts, blending traditional folk elements with courtly culture, as seen in the theatrical performances at his court. Meritocracy of Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan, an outsider in the 12th century, built a unique system where power and privileges were centrally held and distributed based on loyalty and merit. He abolished traditional titles, diluting tribal power, and connected all crucial offices to the central state. The army was the core institution in this structure, allowing even the lowest shepherd to advance to general with exceptional performance. Loyal followers could be appointed heads of large military units or appointed to favored positions within the system. Although family members wielded power, they were no exception to the merit-based rule. Genghis Khan also ensured appreciation for religious leaders, doctors, scholars, lawyers, and teachers through tax exemptions and breaks. Uniting East and West. The vast Mongol Empire, led by Genghis Khan, connected China and Europe, fostering the exchange of goods, ideas, and cultures. Genghis Khan's ingenious strategies, such as establishing the first international postal system, redistributing wealth, and organizing trade along the Silk Road, laid the groundwork for a free trade zone. This allowed the exchange of innovative resources, and ultimately provoked the Renaissance. In essence, the Mongol Empire played a foundational role in shaping modern civilization. Genghis Khan's remarkable empire spanned from China to Europe, linking two vastly different worlds that knew little of each other. Under his rule, a relationship flourishing with diplomacy and commerce was established, a connection that has persisted throughout history. Genghis Khan's innovative approach to trade and wealth circulation led to the inception of the first international postal system, a means of exchanging precious resources and cultures. Rather than hoarding the treasures he acquired, Genghis Khan redistributed them, crafting systems of commercial exchange. Furthermore, the Mongols restructured entire regions, unifying various groups and expanding their cultural horizons in the process. These endeavors paved the way for the groundbreaking creation of a free trade zone by organizing trade along the renowned Silk Road. The immediate effects of Genghis Khan's actions were tremendous as trade flourished. Technologies such as paper, gunpowder, printing, and the compass spread from east to west. Ultimately, this facilitated the emergence of the Renaissance. The exchange between regions was mutual, with German miners journeying to China and Chinese doctors going to Persia. Consequently, carpets, tea, noodles, and playing cards became a part of a shared global culture. Immersive examples of this incredible international exchange include a Parisian metalworker constructing a fountain in the arid steppes and an English nobleman serving as an interpreter in the Mongol army. Undoubtedly, the Mongol Empire and its trailblazing achievements stand as a cornerstone in the development of modern civilization.
Jack Weatherford's Genghis Khan and the Making of the Modern World seeks to alter the tainted image of Genghis Khan, revealing him as a progressive, unifying ruler who valued loyalty, promoted meritocracy, and fostered intellectual and commercial exchange. By creating an empire of unparalleled size, Khan facilitated international trade and cultural exchanges that influenced the European Renaissance, international relations, and technological advancements. Throughout the book, Weatherford highlights the incredible achievements of Genghis Khan and his descendants, tracing the far-reaching consequences of their rule on the world. Through thought-provoking insights, this book calls for a reassessment of the ruthless conqueror stereotype and invites readers to delve deeper into the life, and legacy of Genghis Khan as they ponder the modern world's roots in the Mongol Empire.